As the rescheduling happens in the morning, your morning routines are disrupted. You had planned to do other things this morning. What did you plan that you had to cancel to go to the interview?
I was planning to actually try to get a bit more sleep tonight. I usually don't sleep very well, and I had taken some sleeping pills to give me an extra few hours of sleep just for today. But I think my wife, being up usually earlier than I, she probably took my phone and took the message and started slowly waking me up. So it was a bit more dizzy than I usually would have been because of the pills. And I'd had to get up and get myself ready. She's tending to the children mostly. And I was hoping to have done a little bit of planning for a lecture that I was going to hold during the evening, actually, where I usually do my extra classes for, let's say, civil services, for example, firemen and maybe even in police, sort of leadership in coaching
cool.
sessions.
It's like crisis handling leadership activities. Cool. But yeah, those plans are all for nothing, and the kids are awake, and in the mid that sort of noise and chaos that a family breakfast entails when you have. How many children do you have?
8 children.
8 children. Yeah, so it's quite the din, and your wife, dutiful as she is, plans around this. She's a bit annoyed in the morning about having to take the entire responsibility for the family in the morning. Usually you don't have as much time with your kids this morning as you would like to have. There's some grumblings of disappointment from one of your older sons who had hoped to go for a run with you in the morning.
Yes, it's John.
How do you explain your absence from this routine of taking a run with your oldest?
I'm sorry, buddy. I would have wanted to go myself.
But Dad, I got my new trainers. It's like I really want to. I don't want to run alone. You know, I don't push myself as hard.
You can run with Philip. Philip, listen up. You're running with John today, right?
Math exams. I need to study.
None of that.
Dad.
I'll have none of
Dad.
it. You hear? No. You listen to me. You're running with your brother, and that's it. You're running with John, and you better catch up to him this time.
Yes, Father. I will.
John, don't slow down on the tempo because of Philip. He should be able to keep up with you. His legs are long.
Yeah, I'm gonna wipe his record. Yeah, so come on, don't tarry, come on.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Philip, make sure you try and beat him now.
As you make your way to the car, your two oldest head off the driveway, and you can see them running at good speed down the alley. What kind of neighborhood do you live in?
This is a fairly nice neighborhood. It's, the houses are fairly clumped up together, but it's sort of a family street. And I haven't figured out where exactly I live in London.
It's a nice kind of like middle class family kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, fairly well off people, and maybe I'll have another veteran on the street as well. Might have been of interest for me.
Possibly somewhere in the vicinity of Canary Wharf. A lot of new developed properties there that young professional families cluster to. So that would be a possibility.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Isle of Dogs-ish.
Yeah, around that area. So how do you make your way to the Metropolitan Police Department headquarters in the morning?
Probably drive my, what call it, a city jeep, an SUV style, yeah.
Good for family outings and similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, the baseball gear of the family is still packed in the back, and so the back seat of the car is a bit of a mess. You haven't cleared out from training last night, but you make your way through the morning traffic. The room, flooded with morning light, is still minimal white. The clean perfection of the room is refreshing. Anna, who you have met before, you did work with Second Inquisition in the end phases of the manhunt for the 4 suspects of the London bombing. She was one of the people that organized the logistics for the final phase of the manhunt, which took place in Italy. Were you a part of that manhunt that took you all the way to Rome?
Yes, I'd like to say I was. I was trying to get off a little bit as much as I could. I have been pretty much a family man, and I think she knows this as well. But duty calls, and I would have to take place as close to the operations as possible.
You have mostly spoken on the phone, as she has been handling some operational details and assisted you with rental cars and liaisoning with local Italian police. But this is the first time in half a year that you actually end up face to face again. She beams at you. You take your coffee black as usual?
Yes, of course.
Good. I'm excited to see you here. It's so good. You you come highly recommended. I don't need to express my personal good experiences of working as case officer together with you. So we're really excited for this interview.
I nod and I give a small smile and I say, "It's good to see you, and Miss Couture. How you been?"
Oh, yeah, quite good actually. I took the transfer to this unit, to the NDE DIU, just recently, and it's exciting being a part of a new initiative. I think it's high time that we have better coordination between the different special operations teams, and I do think that your leadership skills and operational experience will be a great asset.
Well, I hope to be of service. And I squint a bit at the morning light. My eyes are a little bit red-ish, I think.
Yeah, she notices it, but makes no point out of it. She doesn't make a big deal out of it. Rather, gazes at you, smiles, puts her iPad to the side, and leafs through the papers. She doesn't look at them very carefully. She already knows what good merits you have listed there. So I don't need to remind you that the purpose of this new unit is to combat domestic extremism in society, and I'm happy to say that we have had some extra judicial rights assigned to us, because we are meant to provide and report all intelligence about domestic extremism and public disorder issues. And we really hope that you can be able to come on board to our unit. The general operations will not be limited to the London area, and I think that you might have to discuss some of the operational details with your family, or at least your time commitments. Are you okay with that?
That's fine. It'll be interesting to see what will happen with SO13 as it's going to go through this merge. I just hope it will be a good international delivery as well, as far as information goes.
Yeah, we do have a really good cooperation with our European colleagues, and we're happy to say that we have an Interpol liaison on board, all part of the great European Union cooperation. So we hope that for many years we'll be able to keep up this European cooperation.
That's good. I lean back a bit and I seem a bit more relaxed, and then I say, family's fine. We've been moving back from the States, as you might know, and we settled in nicely on near Island Gardens.
That's good. That's a really nice neighborhood. You're doing good for yourself.
Yeah, the park is great for baseball practice.
Yeah, you're still on the baseball practice. Yeah, that's good. How are the kids doing?
They're fine. They're fine. My oldest one, Sarah, is starting university now.
Ooh, yeah, they grow up so fast, don't they?
Yeah, she actually is more eager than I thought to take the PJFT to try and join the Royal Marines herself. I have not been encouraging this, and I try to keep away a proud smile.
They're the light of our life, aren't they? You know she has 2 daughters herself.
How's your family then?
Oh, Lisa is fine. I still have the kids every other week. Ian is still a bit of an asshole. Yeah, he's been transferred to. Fortunately, he's been transferred to Edinburgh. It's hell on the logistics, but damn, I'm happy having him out of London, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm happy for you.
So let's get to it, shall we? Just as Anna starts getting into her personal life, there's a knock on the door, and Issa Khan enters. You know him by reputation and from a couple of briefings. He is somewhat of a legend within the Metropolitan Police Department. He has racked up the most hours of overtime of anyone in the last decade. He was especially obsessed by the London bombings and had some radical theories on how to cross-reference CCTV footage that is attributed to directly lead to the arrest of the 4 suspects.
As the knock on the door comes and Anna stands up, I stand up as well.
Captain Khan enters the room. He gives you first a curt nod, and then he recognizes you and steps up and addresses you by name, shaking your hand and placing one of his large, powerful hands on your shoulder and looking you straight in the eye, saying, "Your operational records are impressive. I followed your career personally, and let me say that you're a pride of the Crown."
Thank you for your words, Mr. Khan, and I shake his hand. It's good to meet you in person. I've been following you as well. Well done throughout the complete manhunt after the bombing.
They were stressful times, but we did nail them, didn't we?
We did. That CCTV cross-referencing was a genius move.
Thank you. It took some pulling of strings. I hope that the setup we have for our new cooperation will minimize the interruption of red tape.
Absolutely. I'm most curious to hear more about what exactly is going to happen, and I wait for him to sit down until I sit down, and I continue drinking my coffee.
He sits down, opens his computer, typing, looking at you with that unnerving precision where he multitasks. The questions begin innocently enough. Please state your full name, gender, and date of birth.
I am Lieutenant Paul Richards. I am 40 years old, born 1965, London Royal Hospital, 14th December. Male.
What's your current position in London Metropolitan Police Department?
What would I be currently doing? I've been working sort of with... I was hired by the American Navy for a while. What could I be doing now? I suppose something to do with either leadership or that I'm sort of either overseeing some operations or helping leaders.
I mean, you could be a intelligence analyst. You could be an operational leader. That seems to be what fits in most. Is that you're working as a leading case officer and operational command.
Right. Yeah, that sounds good. Current position is leading case officer, operational command, senior sergeant, and I probably would have risen higher if not for my other duties.
Sometimes you can do more on the floor. She gazes a little bit about to Isaac, who he shifts a bit nervously. He's risen fast in the ranks, and you can see that he's not entirely comfortable with his role, a new role. He's much more of a hands-on kind of guy than a distant leader. But for this interview, he dutifully shuts his mouth and lets his staff sergeant do her work. Why do you want to be a part of the National Domestic Extremism and Disorder Intelligence Unit?
After recent events that have been occurring and how they have been dealt with, I hope to see a larger cooperation, over the borders in order to root out the extremism threat. And I believe that this would be the best way of using my experience and knowledge, which is a combined police and military knowledge for now, to combat the domestic and, the international threats that we currently have.
Why are you leaving your current position within as a case officer and operational command to move into this more specialized group?
I sigh, and I don't look completely comfortable, but I say quite bluntly, disagreements in leadership.
I see. Isaac nods a bit, and Anna continues. So, what would you say is your greatest strength?
My greatest strength, I would say, is my resolve. I know that the mind is the most powerful tool you have, and it will keep your body from breaking if you have the will to push on.
Yes, that reflects quite well in your test scores. You do seem to have a knack for never giving up, don't you? So, that means that you will place your highest stat in resolve. Is that correct?
I think so. I think that could be fitting.
Yeah. It is also not at all a bad stat to have, I can tell you. So, best attribute, resolve. 4 dots.
Yes.
And what's your greatest weakness?
Maybe sort of logical problem solving, as in intelligence, perhaps. Or I don't know. What is the difference between intelligence and wits?
Wits would be your quick thinking on your feet. That would be your improvisational ability, your repartee, and just reacting to things instantaneously. Whereas intelligence is more related to your book learning and your reflective and analytical abilities.
I think it could be either that or manipulation or even dexterity, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'll...
Just settle on one.
Manipulation is more like... Is it more such... Because he's a strong leader.
Yeah, charisma is straight leadership, whereas manipulation are things like subterfuge and lying and concealing your intent and so on. So if you're a really straight shooter who's quite transparent, it's very possible that manipulation could suck.
I think that actually would be the worst one then,
Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world to be a bad liar.
And I haven't had much use for it in my current... Well, in my life, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in lies as a motivational resource.
Isaac responds really well to that. He is looking at you with mirth. Smiling. You begin to suspect that he has personally had a hand in making the queue to this interview shorter for you.
I take a sip of my coffee.
So let's take a look at the rest of your test scores here. Would you say that these accurately reflect your mental and physical capabilities?
We have strength 3, dexterity 2, stamina 3, charisma 3, manipulation 1, composure 2, intelligence and wits also 2, and resolve 4.
Great. And while we're at it, we can derive two secondary abilities from here. Add your resolve to your composure to derive your willpower.
Resolve 4 plus composure 2, so 6 willpower.
Yes. And add 3 to your stamina to derive your health.
3 plus 3, 6 there.
Yeah. So, and of course the same goes for Francis. These secondary abilities are the two trackers. Those are the values that change during play the most. Of course, your health is pretty self-explanatory, whereas your willpower is the resource that you use to push yourself further. So you use willpower points to re-roll failed rolls, mostly. It allows you to re-roll 3 dice from any pool per spend of willpower. I will go into that more in detail. That means you have a pretty good willpower pool, which is great. Anna is looking over your test sheet at the same time as you do, noting and confirming the scores. And then she looks up at you a bit nervously, and it's like, this is a question I never asked you before, but could you tell me about your greatest fear?
The greatest fear is losing a child.
That would be terrible, would it not?
Yes, it would.
So, on to cheerier subjects. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I hopefully have 2 more. And of children, I mean. And let's see, I see myself professionally, hopefully, working here, finding a place here in the organization, making my way upwards and onwards, I suppose. Yes.
You are looking for greater operational responsibilities.
If you think that what I currently provide could expand to something even bigger, then absolutely. I've been looking even at at bigger houses, but that of course would depend on where things go. I would be happy to see myself, yes, taking on more responsibilities. Absolutely.
So, could you briefly describe your employment history or history within the armed forces, briefly?
I did my PGFT and joined the Royal Marines training back in '85. I was 19 at the time. The training itself took about 3 years to reach officer level. I did 1 tour during that time, and I kept doing a few more tours, but then went over to troop training here in Britain due to a stray grenade fragment nearly severing my femoral artery.
Ouch.
Yes, I was lucky. But I was able to recover and went back to the home country. I was working here for a few years. I was deployed in Sierra Leone in 2002, Operation Palliser. I was hired by the American Navy, moved to the US for a few years before that, actually, and performed the SEAL training there. I've worked with a few private contractors, being a bit inside and out of national services, and now I returned to the UK recently to continue my initially to continue troop training, but then it turned out that there was a great opportunity in the Metropolitan, so that's where it sort of changed course a bit.
Yeah, the bombings took us all by surprise, didn't they?
Yes.
So it's considering this record, it's safe to say that you have battlefield experience.
I would say so. Yes.
Yes, she leaps through a short summary of your deployments. So, what countries have you been deployed to? apart from Sierra Leone?
Let's see. I'm not like the best history buff of modern history of warfare. So what do we have?
The usual suspects would be, Afghanistan, Iraq, those things in like post 2001. There's like in the years between 2001 and 2005. There is, of course, Bush's war that is raging.
Yeah, on terror.
So would you have been deployed in Afghanistan?
Yes, I have had a tour to Iraq, though that was mostly peacekeeping, and Afghanistan was more an active element, leading the troops. Though I'm not sure why, really. They usually have the younger grunts for that, but there we are.
You are a seasoned officer, and of course in the early days after 9/11 there was a bit of scrambling to get experienced officers out in the field. So and I can see you have one injury in combat, as you mentioned.
That's right. Do
you have any? Are you seeing anyone about your experiences in battle? Have you had psychological debriefings and so on? Would you consider yourself to have any lingering effects from your experiences during these deployments?
I have had the standard debriefings, and I do still go, as is mandatory, every half a year or so, but the analyst or the shrink, they didn't deem it necessary for me to keep going more often than that. I don't sleep much, but I never have, really, to be honest. I don't have nightmares, I'm a very light sleeper. And many children hasn't helped to that.
Isaac almost, there's a sound from his lungs. It's almost like the beginnings of a rumbling laugh. Have you administered lethal force in combat?
Yes.
Let's leave it at that then. He looks at you with the sympathy and empathy of a fellow veteran, knowing when it's time to shut up, even in an interview. Anna continues. So, I would like to know a little bit about the skills you have learned during these deployments and during your Metropolitan Police career. So, what skills are the primary ones you have used and perfected during your professional life?
Yes, now we move to the skills.
Yes, so here we look at the professional skills, meaning 3 dots in 2 skills and 2 skills at 2 dots. And there is for guidance or inspiration, I think a look at the veteran template could be reasonable.
Athletics or awareness, firearms, stealth, survival or leadership.
Of course, you can freebase around those concepts as much as you want. Military service these days is very flexible, and there are multiple skills you could learn.
I think leadership is a rather high one.
Yeah, you wanna make leadership one of the 3s, maybe.
I think so.
Good. Yeah. And perhaps then changing athletics or awareness for a 2.
Yes. I think I don't know how survival ties in.
That would be if you've had, extended deployments in the wilderness and so on, and you have, the skills that a
more of a ranger.
Yeah,
perhaps,
that would be a more
someone.
army ranger. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's not really mine. So yeah, athletics. Let's put a 2 there, and should we put 2 in awareness as well, perhaps?
Go for that. 2 athletics, 2 awareness.
And I would say we need, in the combat skills at least. And brawl, is that unarmed and melee with weapons?
Yes, that is correct.
Let's see, I'm not sure how much of a sharpshooter he is, because firearms would definitely be either a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
Let's see, what do we have left now, really?
You have 2 skills at 3 and 2 skills at 2.
Okay. So we have athletics and awareness at 2.
Yeah.
leadership at 3, and maybe then take firearms at 3 as well.
Yes. There will be plenty of things in your life that I could have taught you brawling or knife fighting as well coming up. So it's no problem. You're going to get those skills as well. Yeah, she listens intently as you describe your achievements in the different skill fields that you have learned, primarily during your time as in active combat deployment. So, how would you describe your greatest failure in life, and what did you learn from it? I know it's hard, but please be as honest as you can.
When I took the grenade fragment to the leg, it was almost as an instant punishment, because instead of helping my fellow soldier who was next to me, we were using a mortar at the time. I don't know, I think he got shocked somehow and somehow kept standing up, though he was supposed to take cover from incoming fire. I took cover, but I didn't. I should have knocked him over. I should have jumped on him.
That's enough, Anna. Isaac interjects and cuts the question short. The things that happen on the battlefield are usually not our own fault. But what would you say did you learn?
What I learned from it was in part to look out for my troop members before, and trust that they would look out for me.
So conversely, Anna says, what's your biggest triumph, and what learnings have that given you?
I'm very proud of my family. I'm very proud of my wife for being able to take care of all the small ones while I'm away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy that I've been blessed to balance work and family as I have. I know it's been hard for her and for me at times, and how it has turned out, I think, yes, that is probably finding the balance is one of my great successes. Yes.
Yeah, it's no easy thing. I know having 2 kids is enough for me. I mean, that really royally screws up my schedule a lot of the time, so that's gotta have taught you something, yes. Indeed. Are there any other life events and so on that have taught you valuable skills? You could describe them to me?
I have learned a lot from my different tours, from my travels, from seeing different types of leadership, different kinds of troop training, see how they intermingle with the physical aspect of training. I've seen, like I myself was a young boy when I came in, I hardly knew how to iron a shirt. Now I could say that I'm quite proficient in that area, even if my wife sometimes does it for me.
You are known as a really snappy dresser, if you don't mind me saying so.
Well, you know, my fashion choices I cannot completely take credit for.
Yeah, woman's touch. He smiles. So here is where we determine your life event skills. So one event taught you a skill at 3 dots, and another event taught you a skill at 2 dots.
Could we perhaps make that, the mortar event that I described of looking out for the fellow soldier, could we make that one in awareness instead? Because that's...
Yeah.
And we move the awareness 2 points, perhaps to another professional...
Great. Stealth, maybe? Or something else? I mean, you could also have technology with a weapons maintenance focus. You can choose... Yeah, there's no limit to the things you could learn.
Interesting.
Or brawl.
Yes, I like that.
Okay, yeah, technology with...
it could be anything from... it could be like medicine and stuff like that too, sort of taking care of someone.
Yeah.
But I like the stealth the most, actually, because of that it is a marine training and...
Absolutely.
Not the... technology training. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, you haven't been in artillery or, any like specialist tech core, so that makes a lot of sense. So one is your awareness. You will never be caught with your guard down after that incident.
No.
Yeah. So even that could perhaps factor into your insomnia as well. You perhaps have a lingering fear that when you close your eyes, someone else will get hurt.
Yes, and small sounds when I sleep do get me jumpy. Yes. So let's see then. And 1, 2 as well, or was it?
Yes, there is 1, 3, which is the awareness, and there is 1, 2 dot, which could be, brawl, medicine, whatever's investigation.
From life events.
Yeah, this is a life event, but that event could have been your participation in the London bombings thing. It can be something that you have learned from your family activities. Maybe taking up baseball has taught you a thing or two about
batting.
Melee with a batting focus.
Should we take that? Is that fun?
Yeah, I do think so. I mean, it's if it's a combination of your melee training, as in close quarters battle training and using a combat knife.
It's like a precision and quick.
Yeah, it's the combination of that and your batting skills. So let's do that. Why not? You are very dangerous with a bat in your hands. You can propel rubber objects at almost supersonic speeds with high precision. So that could be applicable to a number of situations.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's make the baseball a part of your stat build. I think that's fun. What do you do in your free time?
I like to run. I like to keep fit. I like to somewhat keep up with the news. I like to read the newspaper. As you know, it's baseball, I suppose. I never miss a London Mets game if I can afford it. I suppose that is kind of what takes up my time. It's family, work, baseball, and when I get time to read the newspaper, I will do that.
That reminds me. What are you doing next Sunday? I was thinking maybe if you could take my daughters to baseball. I do have another commitment. I have a mate.
Well, I'm obviously going anyway, so they're free to join. How old are they now?
They're 6 and 8.
They should meet Sienna. She's 6 as well.
Oh, yes. They're really, I don't have all the time in the world to oversee their social things, and now with Edinburgh and here, the division, that would be really, really good. Isaac looks a bit disapprovingly at her and like, eyes on the ball, Anna, eyes on the ball. She has a tendency to drift into personal stuff a bit too much.
But still, this is a big interest of mine, so I'm not gonna miss the game. And if someone else wants to see the game, I'm not gonna disown them that.
For sure. So these leisure skills, you take 3 1-dot skills based on your hobbies or other pastimes.
So what about reading the newspaper? Where could that go under?
I would say politics.
Yeah, I'd probably say politics too.
You don't just read one newspaper in the mornings. And it could also, finance is a possibility.
Yeah, it could go, but I don't think that's the most interesting thing that he probably reads it from time to time, but I think it kind of leaves his head when he does.
Any other things? It doesn't have to be things that you have mentioned. Yeah, if you have a family dog, animal ken is of course fully possible. And just the nature of service can give you things like intimidation.
I don't know if intimidation works with both children and the service.
Actually, it does.
Maybe that's leadership.
Yeah, it depends on what mode of parenting you're employing, I guess.
I think he would be more the intimidation.
Yeah, it sounded like that from the morning.
I think it's a bit tough love, sort of.
Yeah. So one intimidation from just managing a family/baseball team.
And one in politics. And do we have 2 more then?
Yeah, we have a total of 3, so 1.
I don't know if he has a dog. I think not. It's something that is fun, that is out of it. Otherwise, I'm kind of leaning towards brawl.
Cool. And brawl, that is something that you have. That reflects your general physical capabilities. But yeah, are you the type of person to like gets into a fight with other dads at baseball practice and stuff like that?
Well, I think, whenever I meet up with one of my old veteran friends, we might, throw things.
Yeah, do you have these like wild reunion nights with people in the service? Interesting. Yeah. So now it is also time to go ahead and look at what other capabilities and skills we should be aware of. So here are your you can choose between specialist and generalist for your free skill choices here. So either specialist, then you crank one of these professional skills up, change it out for a 4-dotter, or you take 2 skills at 2 dots and 4 more skills at 1 dot, meaning that you're going to be a bit of a jack of all trades, which can be really useful in this system we have discovered.
As a marine, training is kind of broad. You will have to be able to find yourself in many kinds of situations. I think a generalist approach is kind of better.
So 2 skills at 2 dots.
2 skills at 2, maybe drive.
Yes, you've been in the Humvee for ridiculous amount of hours.
Or the Foxhound, but I don't know if that one.
True. Yeah, the Humvee, that's an American brandy thing. Yeah, but some, quick deployment vehicle. Cool. Drive.
Should we put something in technology in regards to weapons and stuff?
Yeah, it's a technology specialist, and with a specialization weapon system, or rather, what kind of weapon systems are we looking at? Maintenance, like field maintenance, or are we looking at even things like booby traps or disarming mines? Or
yeah, I think that's interesting. I like that. The traps. Yeah.
So yeah, you know how to rig directed mines and tripwires and those sort of things.
Did you say one more too, or was
it is. You have 2 2s, and then you have 4 1-dotters. So they're just like spread them wide.
Let's take 1 persuasion because it kind of goes into the whole speaking leadership
public
thing.
Speaking thing. Yeah.
What's insight? Is that reading people?
Yeah, it is reading people.
Is that relevant?
I mean, in any police profession, it is surely, and also now we know if you wanna know if your kids are telling the truth where they were last night, it's a good thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you do probably learn a bit from being around so many people all the time. So cool that we have persuasion. We got insight. 2 more. Maybe medicine then.
Yeah, it can be good to know how to patch someone up.
Yeah. What's craft? Is it more like
craft? Any craft. I mean, that can be an art like painting. It could be scrimshaw if you're working with ivory. It could be sculpture. It can be basically any craft. That's reasonable.
I'm thinking either investigation or survival.
Yeah, either of those is easy to understand why you would have acquired.
Yeah. So let's take survival, I think.
Great. It's important to have a wild and varied skill set in a lot of areas. And yeah, I've seen you respond good in a crisis. There are other things to this work, though. And as you have progressed through the ranks, you're sure to have made a bit of a contact network, right? So do you have any personal or professional contacts that may aid or impair your service to special operations?
Yes, I would say I have my brothers in arms from various operations. Some of them US based and some of them based here. One of my closer ones is actually living on my street. Could probably call him an ally.
Yeah, that we absolutely can. So that is a service mate. Comrade in arms. I mean, if it goes that deep, how would you rate that? You have 7 dots in total for these babies, and yeah, that is definitely that's an ally, I think, rather than a contact.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that is someone who you could call in the middle of the night, and ask to do a favor.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of
relationship you have. Yeah.
You would have.
Yeah, that's an ally. And then it's like the more dots you put into this ally, the more capable they will be.
Maybe a 3.
Yeah, that sounds good. So is this singular? It's a singular exceptional individual.
I think so, yeah. I think it's one that he's bonded with exceptionally well.
So what service branch was this person, and what's his or her name?
I think this might have been the fellow that pulled me out after I got hit in the leg, perhaps.
Yeah. So what service branch?
Should we say a medic?
A medic.
Or
yeah, cool. He's a combat medic. You have a strong friend bond. Seen combat together with a medic. What's his name? Or her name, for that matter.
Maybe it's a female. Maybe that's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, during this time, a lot of women did join the service. Lisa Edwards, maybe.
How about Albring?
Albring, yes, that's a way more British name.
And then I have 7 dots, you say?
Yes, so that's 3 of those dots. And then you have 4 more. So, considering you are a family man with some, basic house and so on, perhaps a little bit of resources is almost mandatory. But you're not a wealthy man like Francis, right?
No, I wouldn't say wealthy, but I come from a rather poor family. But I've been doing all right for myself throughout my service, and it's not underpaid directly. But then again, when you're out of you kind of tend to spend, I suppose, the money that you earn.
Yeah. So at 2 resources, perhaps. This is like a middle class. You would have a villa and a car. All that.
Yes. Is that in background as well?
That is resources is a background. So you write down resources and you write down 2 dots of resources.
2 dots. Mm-hmm. There we go.
And that leaves 2 dots, I believe. 3, 5.
Yes, that's right. Is that contacts, for example?
Contacts could be possible. We can...
Or fame. Influence.
If you've been in, what is it called, like Daily Sun or like Daily Telegraph, or one of these like scream sheet magazines about, for instance, when you were wounded, there were quite a lot of news about heroic servicemen during the early times of the Iraq war and Afghanistan. So you could be one of those poster boys.
Yeah, it could be that. That's interesting.
And additionally, then your involvement in the London bombings and so on.
Exactly.
So, yeah, cool.
So recurring.
Great. And this is probably why you so easily get these like leadership training gigs. Because you're highly motivating just by virtue of your fame.
Yeah.
Great. This will be kind of a double-edged sword for you, but it can be highly useful. Great. 2 dots of fame.
2 dots of fame.
Mm-hmm. Lastly, when it comes to your contact network and your personal history, is there anything we should know about? Anything Isaac kicks her a little bit? How about you have talked about your insomnia. Are you taking medication on a regular basis?
Yes, I am. Mostly on the nights that I need to get some extra rest. So I try to do it. I try to keep it to not more than 3 times a week. But sometimes I need that sleep. So yes,
it just slips out of you. You realize that you have just admitted to having an addiction to sleeping pills.
Yeah, I think maybe it's a bit too. I'm getting too comfortable here, and also I think my mind is a bit blurry still because I didn't get that enough sleep that I needed tonight.
Isaac looks at you, and for the first time he seems to actively take down a note that is directly related to what you are saying.
I kind of noticed this, but I don't really think about it because of the sort of leisurely tone that we had before.
Yeah, and Anna really puts you at ease. So, this is a flaw. It's a 1-dot floor. It's a very, or I guess, I mean, you can choose whether you told the truth and you actually do use, you know, sleeping pills regularly, or do you have like a hopeless addiction where this is something that has been going on for years and years, and that would be really, really hard for you to break?
No, I don't think it's like that, really.
It's a 1-dot addiction.
Yeah.
Cool. So that means that you will have problem functioning unless you have access to sleeping pills when you sleep. You will have a one dice reduction in dice pools if you do not take your sleeping pills at the regular times. So I guess that you have like increased the strength gradually, and you're now somewhere like approaching medical grade benzos and stuff like that, like Xanax. And
yeah, I think things that I'm kind of getting them almost on the side from people who know my history.
Yeah,
and
it's not hard within the veteran community to get hold of the right things to make you sleep or forget. So that means you have one more flaw to distribute. And that, since we are looking at the human here, it could be an enemy, it could be
my haven could have a supernatural manifestation.
It could. I mean, it could. Do you want to have a haunting? Or is this something that you actually believe in?
I don't think he believes in it, but it could still be there. I don't know. I think he is quite...
It's an offbeat idea, and of course we're running, you know, homebrew conversion for mortals, so no problem. I say that your house is probably built on top of an old church. That's what you know. And there's a lot of talk in the neighborhood about the previous family who owned the property. You got it for a killer price, your house. So that is probably why.
Yeah, but I don't really believe in all that, though. I mean, I think it probably has to do with me not sleeping well, and the kids are probably just waking each other. Sometimes when they like see something, it's probably one of the other kids trying to frighten them.
Great. So that's the flaw, haunted. So they say haunted home, since it is not yet a haven.
Ah, okay.
It's I mean, and what it is and how it will play into events that follow, that is for me to dream about and for you to fear.
Interesting.
Yes, that's an interesting twist, and I do believe there will be a few more as we continue the interview. Paul, I know you've spoken out at great length about this in the press, but what would you say specifically applies to this job? What motivates you? What's your greatest ambition?
I believe in grace under pressure. I believe that helps anyone. I believe that you must always keep calm in order to resolve conflict.
So would you say that you apply a detached mode towards stressful situations? A non-emotional.
I believe you have to, yes.
Detached, yes. And then that would be never, perhaps it could be like never let emotions interfere in a time of crisis, something like that.
Let's see, where do I put this down?
Do you put this under convictions, which you have on your back of the sheet? You have touchstones and convictions.
Yes, there we go.
And that could be, we could summarize it as like always keep your cool. But I would like to remind you that the word cool initially meant, distanced, and there's a certain cruelty to keeping cold as well. So be cold in a crisis, maybe, rather than be cool in a crisis. That will surely let you get away with some things when it comes to crisis situations that you then excuse yourself for.
I like that, yeah.
Great.
That's cool.
Literally. And yes, 2 more.
Another one I've seen that I liked is only the dead have seen the end of war. Yeah, I believe that we are, in a way, doomed to constant conflict as humanity.
In a state of war, are you excused certain things if you're in a state of war? Of course, I mean, there are the rules of war and so on, where you do accept murder, which is not usually accepted in society. So you see, okay, so this is a conviction. How could you formulate it? Because I can see what you're getting at.
So sort of in war everything is fair, or is
yeah, I mean that can be that can be always accept the realities of war. That could be something, because that's the pragmatic position. It does tie into your cold attitude towards crisis. That's fine. I do think that the third one can be I mean there is I do think, looking at the examples you have, like my country, right or wrong, you can stand down from certain things, meaning that it's like torture is not cool.
Yeah.
But I kind of see it the opposite here. That it's like you would think that was permissible under certain situations.
How is the one that never exposed children to violence?
That, of course, that seems to be a very, very strong deal. But there is there's one thing here. That's we jumped to we were supposed to do ambition, but we're doing convictions instead. That is perfectly fine. So this is what do you believe in principle wise? It's like, what are your core principles?
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So, and that is now what we are doing. So the first one is always keep cold, and the second one is like accept the realities of war. And the third one is...
It could be that. I mean, the other ones are... I like the always aid women in need.
But I think your children are quite central to your character, and possibly to like the future fate of your character. So I do think there's a really interesting dynamic in that you have like an extreme aversion to harm coming to children in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, I like that. But I also like the idea of him sort of seeing procreation as a sort of duty to God, kind of thing.
And this is where we approach something quite meaningful, which is, you do have a religion, don't you?
Yes. I'm a Christian.
And this is where Khan truly shows an interest. I read in your records that you are a church-going man. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. On Sundays it's church at 10 and baseball at 1.
You do believe in God?
I do.
That, my friend, might be your greatest asset, your record notwithstanding.
I look at him a bit surprised. Religion in this?
The self-discipline that comes from faith allows us to do miraculous things, to persevere in the face of great adversity, and to keep our moral compass clean and pure. You believe in one God. You call his Guru Christ. I believe in one God. I believe that the last Guru was Sambang Singh. This makes no difference to me. You are a man of faith, and I respect that.
I nod a bit hesitantly as he mentions his prophet, but I think of it for a while, and then I say, it's true. It's true. Faith is what make us stand above those who are faithless, and enable us to do things that, yes, what you said, to do miraculous things.
And also, in the specifics of our service, we meet men, and sometimes women, who do things that they believe are in service to their God. Terrible things. Our faith allows us to look at this with understanding that someone who does not believe is unable to grasp. I believe that this steadfast belief that you have, this routine of the Sunday church, makes it possible for you to understand those that go to extreme lengths, and thus to fight them more efficiently.
I understand their conviction, but it's unfortunate how they use their interpretation a bit too liberally. But I am not a philosopher.
No, and nor do I expect you to be. I expect you to be a man of faith, and I will be proud to have a man of faith at my side. So, would this translate into a conviction? Your religion?
It's interesting now that we talk about it. Maybe yes. Maybe we should modify one of them to...
I think so. It could be... Yeah, it's very reasonable for you to have... What is the faith, like the specific faith that you adhere to? You're a Christian, of course, but is there any special denomination, any particulars of the church you go to?
I think he's a Catholic.
You're a Catholic, you believe in the sanctity of family, you believe in the sacraments, a Roman Catholic. Cool.
Yes.
Old school.
Like that.
That is good. So then that is very simple. Then it's like respect Catholicism as sacred and obey its moral laws.
That sounds to grasp it.
Good. So then we have the cool under fire, we have respect Catholicism, and the last one, will that be children or accept the realities of war?
I suppose the children sort of thing almost falls under the Catholicism thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it depends on how.
But it is interesting to have that one there as a conviction in its own.
And it does tie you very, very closely to your family. So let's do that.
Let's remove the always accept the realities of war and take the embrace Catholicism and...
Great. It's fantastic. So let us return to your motivation, your greatest ambition in this specific field. What do you hope to achieve here?
You mean within this position or in this organization?
In the coming conflict against extremism and domestic disorder, what is your greatest ambition? So, yeah, the ambition is supposed to be achievable within the scope of a chronicle, somehow, even if it can be, on the outskirts of plausibility.
I lean back and I fold my arms, and I say, to increase cooperation over the borders. Or is that a good thing? I don't know. What could be fun here?
I mean, you could assume operational command. You could solve a high-profile case. I mean, it could be, bring down a organization XYZ.
How is the current war in 2006?
I mean, yeah, I think we are in the absolute beginnings of ISIS. So that is like that is the threat that is looming on the horizon, and that's why the formation of these domestic anti-radicalization forces are starting to appear during this period. This is the first time that you're starting to look at threats that are homegrown but extremist in nature. So this does not have to be, a pleasant ambition. It can be something that is quite extreme. It could be directly targeting. It's like if you're suspecting, for instance, it's like bring down a domestic terror ring could be a goal, or it could also be make sure that there are no more mosques built in London, and then you're going really dark, then it's getting into you are a bit intolerant. I mean, that depends. If you want to play a bigot and like Islamophobic asshole, you're absolutely free to do so.
I lean back in my chair and I cross my arms and I look sternly at Isaac and I say, to stomp out the domestic groups that are forming and supporting international terror organization. I believe that we will have to deal severely with the gatherings of groups that we have in and around religious buildings like mosques. Not to shut them down, but I believe we cannot abide being tolerant to the apparent groups that are forming there. I would like a crackdown on the things in and around the religious gatherings and the buildings that are attributed to them.
You do realize that community centers, cultural community centers and mosques are protected. These are places where even our legislation does not allow us free reign. And this is something you would see changed?
I would see at least that we find those who are sympathetic to the cause that would perhaps be able to access these places without making noise to be there. I would like more surveillance. I would like to be trustworthy people in places where we cannot get to from these legislations. As far as we are now, if measures could be more extreme, if something would happen, then maybe those legislations need to be looked at.
He looks at you. There's a mixture between respect and fear in his eyes, flashing momentarily. You may be just the man we need. It's with some reluctance I say this, but your harsh stance might be needed in the days ahead. He accepts your ambition of bringing investigations to mosques and community centers. So yeah, your ambition is to crack down on local religious gatherings, to find extremists hiding among them.
Yes.
This is in 2006 still quite a controversial stance, one that can be easily misunderstood. And we will see what effects this will have both on the morality of who you are and the events of our story. Very exciting. That's the World of Darkness, of course, is an exploration of grey areas, and here is one of the most debated subjects of our time, and I'm absolutely happy to play with it in a respectful and cool manner.
Yes, I think so too. I mean, it's obvious that me as a person, I don't...
And that is the beauty of Vampire in the World of Darkness, is that we get to explore those things. In one of the playtests, Carl Bergstrom asked us to okay, I wanted to create vampires that absolutely, the wrong people to get turned into vampires. And we chose okay, far-right extremist cell. It's let's play those. There were some pretty intense sessions, but let me say that anyone who walked away from those sessions were not weakened in their anti-fascist conviction, let's just say that. So, because exploring evil from the inside is one of the things that we can do with Vampire. And I'm super happy with having this borderline, little bit fishy view here, because you're a Christian man who wants to crack down on sort of the sanctity of mosques. This will be interesting.
Yeah, I don't believe that this is... I mean, this man isn't the most pleasant fellow. I don't think he is. And
also, these views are not super extreme today. It's that's the growing sort of... We have had a normalization of these views during a long time. And now we do live in a society where these views do exist. And exploring them and seeing what their consequences are in artistic formats, I think, that's a great thing to do. I mean, some British TV shows like Collateral really take up these themes in a really nice and cool way, where police investigations are hampered by intolerance and the suspects being deported before they can be interrogated and so on. That is exactly the kind of mess that these characters are operating in. So that is very cool and very thematic and very sort of true to life, I think, as well. Anna returns to the questioning, visibly shaken. So, who are the people who are closest to you in life? Maybe I don't even have to ask. Your wife, of course.
Yes, Luan,
Luan.
my wife.
Yeah.
Sarah, my oldest.
Sarah, yes. And lastly?
And then it would be Lisa, that I mentioned, the medic.
Yes, of course. Good. So, in the case of an emergency, we will contact Luan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Not that I hope. I mean, that's a call. I hope that I don't have to. Yeah, you know what I mean.
You look at her as almost in a strange way. As why does she have to explain that?
She started the interview smiling, familiar, almost intimate. Here, as she starts to reach the end, she has more bodily distance from you than when she began. Her leg is folded towards you, and her eyes drift out towards the midday sun as she asks her final questions. Could you describe a situation where you happen to end up in a conflict with a coworker?
I had trouble recently at the Metropolitan where the leadership sought to take one direction, whereas I think there is a lot of boundaries and barriers that I don't think we should have, even though it is about protecting civil rights. And we got into a heated discussion about this regarding to where we could put police officers, what places should be accessible for CCTV.
How did this altercation escalate or end?
I look towards Isaac, who probably has heard this story, and it ended with me sending my superior officer home during an operation.
I'm glad that it was home and not the hospital.
What's that supposed to mean?
Have you had a history of anger management problems?
No.
Have you had a history of drug use?
No.
Do you have any medical conditions we should be aware of?
No.
Isaac moves forward towards the table, taking over the questioning. I would like you to tell me in one word what you think when I say these words. Please express yourself clearly and respond as quickly as you can.
Shoot.
Gun.
Shoot.
Needle.
Attack.
Collateral.
Acceptable.
Extremism.
Unacceptable.
Croydon.
South.
Blood. Blood.
Limbs.
Thermite.
Weld.
Sanctuary.
Church.
Kindred.
Spirits.
It will be an efficient partnership. He rises from his chair, almost knocking it over. His calm demeanor disappears from his face for a time.
I stand up as he stands up.
And you stand facing each other. Anna gathers her papers and stands up from her chair, steps a step back, while Isaac Khan silently looks into your eyes from his half a head taller than you vantage. He looks down and he said, Sometimes you need a hardened killer to catch killers. Welcome aboard.
I catch up on the sudden moves and the sudden change of feeling in the room. Something I should know? What's wrong?
No. I only want you to know that you will be accepted in the task force, but I believe any chances of personal friendship ends here. You are most welcome, but watch your step. And you need to quit the pills.
I just face his gaze and think to myself, what does he know? I reach out my hand.
He takes it and shakes it. And then, stepping back, he snaps up into a military salute.
I respond and do it in kind.
It's clear that this man has done service, and probably that you outrank him in the military services. But now, the war he prepares is a civilian one. A war without clearly defined boundaries, without clear rules of engagement, and one where your different perspectives of life may test you. He does not spend more time than that long, icy, hard gaze, instilling a feeling of pressure inside you, a feeling of demands that must be met. And as quickly as he entered the room, he's gone, leaving a embarrassed Anna to bid you farewell and take your coffee cup off the table.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the chronicle No Man is an Island for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Our storyteller was Martin Eriksson, and we were also joined by Anna-Karin Linder. The music was created by Lola Zaza for the game Vampire Prelude, We Eat Blood and All Our Friends Are Dead, and was used with permission from White Wolf. The sound effects are from the fine folks at freesound.org. Finally, a big thank you to our patrons. This podcast would not be possible without your generous support on Patreon. You give us so much energy, help us cover our costs, and open up time to record and edit. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you. And remember, death is not the end.